on spy music. We're like kids. We're fans. We're fans of Jonna Mendez. She from the CIA for 25 years, the chief of disguise, and she was so great on the air yesterday. And a good morning. It's Piscopo in the mornings, 5 minutes after 7 o'clock in New York. New York, Five Bros is here, Big Al is here, and we just love having you here on YouTube and on Facebook, am970theanswer.com, or at Jersey Joe Piscopo on Twitter, JRZY Joe Piscopo, and you can get us live streaming. And Jonna Mendez from the CIA, all those years, was such a fascinating conversation that I said to Frankie, as soon as I got off the air with Miss Mendez, I said, Frankie, see if she'll come into the studio tomorrow, because I'm enthralled with all of the spy intrigue, the protection of the United States of America, someone who has dedicated her whole life to keeping you and I safe. So she is here live in the studio. And Jonna, great to have you with us. If I can call you Jonna.
Oh, yes.
Miss Mendez, please don't kill me. None of you shaking my hand. Is there a handshake where you
I'm trying to be gentle.
You can take me out in a second, can't you? Great.
There's some moves.
Do they teach you those moves in the CIA?
Actually, they do. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They teach you all kinds of personal security.
How
to take care of yourself on the street.
If I see you and I meet you, you're here with your sister and your friends, and I'm looking, I'm saying, now, all that you have learned, all that you know from the CIA, you keep most of it quiet, right? You can't talk about most of it, correct?
Most of it.
You had to protect, even as you write this book that I hold in here, The Moscow Rules, you have to check this book out. But a lot of the things did they tell you, you will never talk about this ever again?
Most of them, they don't have to tell you. You know the ones that you cannot talk about. There are some new things in here that we discuss that I didn't think they would let us discuss, like facial masks that we used. We were never, ever able to talk about that. But I threw it in here, and I thought, they can take it out. That idea that you give them something to redact so they feel good,
Yeah.
and then you're left with the book you wanted to begin with. So I expected them to take that out, and they did not.
They did not redact it. So
They did not.
You had to give the book to the CIA for approval.
Oh, yeah. Everything I write. Interviews, no. Anything written, yeah.
Uh-oh.
They get a chance to look
Is somebody going to visit us later after our conversation?
You tell me.
Oh, no, that's all I need to know. So tell us about your husband, Tony Mendez, and how Ben Affleck played him in Argo, the movie, how that happened, what was going on in that era. And because you both were, I think that's fascinating. This is a film waiting to happen, and it will very shortly.
It would be very interesting. It's some great scenes in there.
And wait, before we tell you about your husband, I have to ask you, because I'm like a fan. Look at me. It's like, so you go around, the people that you have to report to at the CIA, is it cloak and dagger? Is it a dark room? Is it a parking lot in Washington somewhere? And you don't see their face, and you walk in, and they go, Jonna, tell us about the book you're writing. And you have a nickname,
I like your version better than the real version. The real version is pretty boring. When the CIA is looking at your manuscript, it's behind some iron door somewhere. You can telephone, but they don't actually answer. There's a machine. They don't call you back. There's no contact whatsoever.
Wow.
It is a brick wall with no chinks in it. This book, I tried to get them to speed up the review because my husband was really ill with Parkinson's. And I called and left a message, and I said, he may not last that much longer. I'd like him to know that this book has cleared these hurdles. And I actually got a response, and my sense is that they did expedite it, which would make me believe that PRB, that review board, that there's a beating heart in there somewhere.
Oh.
And they were a little kind on this one.
But when you go to work at the CIA and you're in Virginia, when you have to go through security, and you're locked in. You can't use phones. I mean, you have to be careful on everything, and everything must be monitored in your life.
You can't take a phone in the building.
You can't take a phone in the building.
Even the buildings are constructed with the quarters aren't straight. They have many right angles so that all kinds of emissions can't happen. It can't be. There's green glass on the exteriors so that the glass can't be penetrated, I don't know, with lasers, or it's one of the more secure buildings in the United States.
Does anybody tell a joke around the water cooler at the CIA?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Hello, Black Dog. How are you? I'm fine.
But, I think they'd love to see you at the water cooler and kind of loosen things up a bit.
I mean, do you have nicknames with each other? I mean, don't look at the guy next to you. I would be like, no, you don't have this vision. But by the way, and I thank you for your service to the United States. I'm such a patriot.
Thank you.
And I'm in awe because you know what? You were in the CIA when the CIA was the CIA. And I wanted to ask you this, and I want to make sure everybody gets the book, The Moscow Rules. This is sensational. This is a great gal who has dedicated her life to the United States of America. We don't know half of it, and I have a feeling you're not telling us half of it anyway, what you know. The CIA today, the quote-unquote deep state that spends their time taking out political opponents. I mean, you must watch a lot of this. Do you get frustrated when you see what's going on today?
I do, because I don't believe it. I don't believe that there is a deep state that has penetrated that agency. The years that I worked there, the politics never came through the door. And I was briefing a president one day. I was disguising a prime minister in another country the next day. We were all over the place. But it was never political. The people I worked with, I wasn't really even aware of their politics. We didn't talk about politics. We didn't care who was president. It didn't affect our work. Our work was our work. We were collecting foreign intelligence for United States policymakers on the plans and intentions of our enemies. Period.
So, and on to that regard. So, but if and again, just and I'll leave it here. But I like the drama of the deep state. But then you see some bad actors, some rogue actors who actually use intelligence in America to take down political opponents. That it didn't seem to happen in the time that you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
when this book. Do you see any of it happening now? I know it's hard for you to say it.
I am a board member of the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
We just opened a big new facility.
Is that part of the Smithsonian?
No, the Smithsonian probably wishes it was. It's an amazing group of people, and it's full of retirees, of former intelligence people, of researchers, of historians. All of us focused on intelligence. When we have board meetings, when we talk about this and that, current events, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with exhibits? I just don't get any sense that this political genie has been let loose. I don't see it, and I'm not naive. I'm old enough, that I've been around a long time. I don't see it. I can't guarantee you that there's not something here or there. I can't guarantee anything like that. But to my knowledge, I've just never seen it. So I watch the media with a little bit of
skepticism.
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah, and you don't sit there in the CIA in those hallways, those crooked hallways, to keep from all the Russian emissions don't come in and the Chinese emissions don't come in, and you don't say, this guy is dangerous to our country, we got to take him out. If you see an American politician in that regard,
we're never. That's not what. We're working so hard on the target that we're after and chasing the bad guys, and they are foreign bad guys, and collecting intelligence. That's where the energy goes. That's where the focus of attention is.
This magnificent gal is Jonna Mendez. The name of the book is The Moscow Rules, and you've got to check that out, the secret CIA tactics that helped America win the Cold War. Could you, without breaking confidences, Jonna, if I could call you Jonna,
please.
Is that all right? Is there a spy name that you would feel more comfortable with? Could you tell us an alias now? Because they meant,
most of us that worked overseas, we had a name issued to us for life.
Oh, really?
And for your entire career.
Oh, we should have that on the show. This is great.
When you're overseas, your true name never appears on paper. Your alias identity is always the one that's on paper.
Even on a passport to get through? Or did you...
No, I'm talking internal documents. Cables going back and forth. They don't say Jonna Mendez is arriving on flight such and such.
Your nickname.
They say my pseudonym, she is arriving. And all the paperwork.
What was the pseudonym? No one's listening. No. Can you tell us?
Well, my first name was Faith.
Faith.
Which was easy, because anytime anyone said, keep the faith, or I really have faith in you, or my head was always swiveling around like,
yeah.
Oh, me?
That's great. That was your
So there's
cover.
no record anywhere of me ever being overseas.
Jonas, before we get to the book, 7:15 with Joe Piscopo, Jonna Mendez from the CIA for 25 years, a great gal. This is the book you got to check out, The Moscow Rules. How dangerous? And again, I know you can't. I look at you, and I know you. I can tell you have so much going on in your mind that you can say, but you won't say. How dangerous is it? We don't aware of it. How unaware are we as American citizens about the threat from the outside that you see at the CIA?
I think as situations change around the world, as pressures build, information is made available to the policymakers and to the American people. Take Iran. This is not the first time we've gone around with Iran.
Yeah.
And when Tony went in and rescued that group of people,
Fantastic story.
in the Argo story, he said when he walked into the hallways, the first day he got the cable saying there are 6 people they need help. He said the CIA was as close to a wartime footing as he had ever seen it. It was all hands on deck. It was full alert. Nobody knew what to do. When tensions grow that big, everyone responds. And it does come up in the media. It comes up everywhere. Normally, things are handled in a more quiet, in a more diplomatic, in a more cautious way.
Can you tell us how in the book it's when Tony got alerted to go in with the Argo story, and we're talking about in Iran. Jimmy Carter was president.
Oh yeah.
So someone comes to you, and is it a cable? Is it in some kind of?
Oddly, the way that Tony found out was it wasn't an immediate night action. Right now, respond cable. It was a memorandum that came floating in from the State Department, which was across the street from our offices, and it took maybe a couple of weeks to get to us. It said, by the way, there are 6 Americans. They got out a back door, and they are in the care of the Canadians, and we need to start thinking about how to go get them. So it was very odd the way he found out. It didn't ring bells anywhere until it got to Tony's desk. And he was like, oh my God. So the people that have seen the movie Argo always comment on what a crazy idea he had about his method for getting them out. And the method, of course, was to disguise them as a location scouting crew for a film company. And people said, well, that isn't normal. It isn't
Really?
normal at all. But what was left out of the movie, but was in the book Argo, is the fact that Tony, as chief of disguise at CIA, had established really deep roots into Hollywood, into the people that helped us in disguise.
Is that right?
Special effects, makeup, prostheses, and the magic industry, which is where you learn deception and illusion. And we were really interested in deception and illusion. So he knew lots and lots of people in Hollywood. So when he thought of Hollywood, it was not quite as crazy as it seemed in the movie. And of course, Hollywood responded just full of
You tell me,
patriots.
so the CIA went to Hollywood, and your husband, Tony Mendez, went to Hollywood, and who did you talk to? A studio head? What was the contact?
Wasn't a studio head. I think most of the people that he originally met in Hollywood, he met through a man named John Chambers. John Chambers was the makeup guy that did the Planet of the Apes masks, and we were interested in those masks because we wanted to make some masks ourselves.
And you did.
And we did. We started out with what John Chambers had in his warehouse, which was these old molds of famous movie star faces. Faces that young people today don't know, but you would know.
Yeah.
Rex Harrison.
Yeah.
Stuart Granger.
Yeah. Wow.
These old guys.
Life masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you could make them.
Yeah.
They were stunt double masks.
Yeah.
Instead of putting
Is
Rex
that-
Harrison on the horse, you put some poor guy wearing the mask.
So you had operatives in the field, and this is how you disguised them with the life mask
We
that you
had
learned from
operatives
playing
in
it
the
on the.
field wearing Rex Harrison's face. That's how it
And when they
began.
sang "My Fair Lady," I mean, that really threw the other side off. I mean, oh my gosh.
they had no idea who Rex Harrison was overseas.
Yeah.
And I doubt if Rex Harrison realized that he was becoming an international star. But that's where the mask technology came from. And a lot of the materials that they used in Hollywood, we were interested in those materials. It was on a very hands-on technical level.
And you said you watched Saturday Night Live sometimes, and you saw the disguises that sometimes we used on the show.
Yeah.
The
And
CIA watched Saturday Night Live.
No, I don't think the CIA did, but I did. And I told Joe this yesterday. I was so impressed at the excellence of the work and the fact that that you would walk off the stage and you'd be right back.
Yeah.
And you'd be a completely different person, and
Yeah.
you might be bald at the second time, and and putting those bald caps on and making it it's not that easy.
But you used that in the field with the CIA.
We used every tool that
Yeah,
we could
yeah.
come
My
up
makeup
with
guy
in the
was
field.
Kevin Haney. I have to give him an Academy Award winner for Driving Miss Daisy. But Kevin Haney was a genius, and we would say, okay, when do you have to do the bald sketch? It'd be like a half hour to show, 45 minutes into the show. So you'd preset it. And then we had a Piscopo wig. I remember they would do what your hair looked like over the bald cap, so you could just rip it off and do quick change. Were there quick changes in there in the heat of the battle of the CIA? Sometimes.
Oh, quick change was in the book we talk about something called disguise on the run. It's a way to change as you're walking through a crowd, because surveillance, when they're following you, they're not following.
This is such a movie.
They're not following your face. They're following, your look.
Yeah.
Your demeanor.
Yeah.
So you can change that while you're moving, and the crowd is your cover, and you walk a city block, and you can completely. We did a thing on Wired.com that showed that, a short video. It's on YouTube.
Well, check it out. The book is The Moscow Rules by Antonio and Jonna Mendez.
Yes.
You have to check this out with Matt Baglio. The secret CIA tactics that helped America win the Cold War. And you did. And that was a tough, tough time. You have to come back again, because what I wanted to get into is the Cold War. You forget how it was and how dangerous it was, and you lived right through it. Thank you for your service to the United States.
If I ever come back, we can talk about, is the Cold War even over? Is it really over?
Oh, boy, now I got to worry about something else. Jonna, thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Name of the book, The Moscow Rules. You got to check it out. Piscopo in the morning. We're going to go to Brandy.